When I was about 8 years old, I had a paper route where I had this bicycle, and I would put my papers that were given to me into my little basket and go around the neighborhood and make sure they were delivered on time. I did that 5 days a week. And I remember on this one particular day, it was windy, and this big, huge gust of wind came up and knocked me off my bike and spread my papers all over the place. They just blew away. Oh man, what am I going to do now? Either pick them up, it would take hours, it's getting dark. So I just looked at it and I said, forget it, I'm going home. I didn't even think about what the right thing to do was. So I got home, and one of the things I wanted to do was get through the living room as quickly as possible because I knew my dad would be sitting there and I didn't want him asking any questions. I didn't make it. My dad lowered his paper and said, "Son, home early from your paper route, aren't you?" And I knew that I had to tell him what happened, and so I explained that I'd lost all these papers. He pointed at me, he said, "Car, 5 minutes." And so I was in the car in 5 minutes. We drove up to the very place where I had fallen over. He said, "Out of the car." We got out of the car and walked up to this front door. And he knocked on it, and this gentleman answered, about his age. And to my astonishment, as we walked into the living room, there was a living room full of papers, pages all disorganized and probably up to about my knees. So it was pretty clear what we were going to do. So between that man, my dad and I, we sat down and probably took about an hour and a half and pieced those newspapers back together, page by page, gathered them up. Dad got me back in the car and he chauffeured me around and I finished my paper route. That was a lesson that stuck with me. A lesson that my dad wanted to teach me, that you just don't quit when you have a job, when you have a responsibility. Men don't quit. And it's served me well. It's served me well in the ministry that I've been in, the job that I've had, my marriage, my raising my kids who have learned this lesson as well. And I'm glad he took the time to do it.